So hello everybody and welcome to Niagara College's Spring Open House. You are now in the session for Social Service Worker. This session will run for 1 hour. So it starts right now at 1:45 and runs until 2:45 this afternoon. You'll be joined by members of the faculty who will go through the session with you today. We'll open things up for questions and take questions and give you answers later on in the session. But first, I have a couple of things we need to take care of. So we'll start with our land acknowledgement. Niagara College acknowledges the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe peoples, many of whom continue to live and work here today. This territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties and is within the land protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. Today, this gathering place is home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples, and acknowledging reminds us that our great standard of living is directly related to the resources and friendship of Indigenous peoples. So we'll start off the session today with a welcome slide. Welcome again to the social service worker session for the afternoon. The deadline to accept your offer of admission is May 1st of 2021, so just right around the corner. Many programs are still open for fall, winter, and spring intakes. If you have any questions, as I said, if you have any questions throughout the session, please feel free to use the Q&A feature. We'll be answering the questions once the PowerPoint is complete. You can also use the live chat feature at the bottom of our website. If you have any additional questions throughout the day, there are people there to help you answer those in a live chat. You can join us anytime you wish for a Niagara College exploration session, or you can take a virtual tour at a time that works best for you. You can do that just by simply logging on to our website, which is niagaracollege.ca. Explore our student services, ask me anything, drop in sessions, speak to a live staff member throughout the day. These are all available to you. And we are recording today's session. So this session, if you want to share it with a friend or a family member, or maybe if you know somebody who's dropped in a little late, that's not a problem because the recording will be available of this session on our website. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy. We do want to talk about the fall term to start things off. As you know, we are living in some very odd times right now, but Niagara College closely monitors the current and projected public health measures, vaccination rates, and other factors which are a significant increase, will increase our on-campus learning for the fall 2021 term, or at least we hope so, fingers crossed. The health and safety of our students, staff, and faculty is really the top priority. Courses and program elements that return to campus will comply with all public health measures and directives. Updates will be provided regularly as information becomes available, and the delivery status for all programs will be posted in May. This is an important link for you too, if you'd like to just take the opportunity to write this down. The most up-to-date and accurate source for information regarding college operations, program delivery, COVID protocols, all those things, they're all available on our website. Again, it's niagaracollege.ca/COVID-19/. So that's where you're going to go to get all the up-to-date information regarding any courses or up-to-date information. So with that being said, we're going to pass things over to Kim Chapman, who's the coordinator of the Social Service Worker Program. Welcome, Kim.
Thank you very much, Elisa. So good afternoon. My name is Kim Chapman. Thank you for dropping in on the live session or on the recording. Before I start talking about the Social Service Worker Program, I want to introduce you to Fiona Allen. She is our Vice President Academic at Niagara College, and she's popped in to say a few words just before we start the main part of the presentation.
Thank you, Kim. Appreciate the introductions. Good afternoon, everyone. It's so nice to see you attending our virtual open house, and that you can attend at any time because it's recorded and the webinars will be open to you to come and go as you need to. So I just wanted to say welcome and thank you for your interest in Niagara College. The Social Service Worker Program is a cornerstone program at the college. It's a well-established program. it's been operating for a number of years. And as you know, and you might know from reading the provincial initiatives during COVID, social service workers provide essential work in our province. They are foundational in helping people thrive. And the students who come through our programs are set with amazing skills to be very proficient as social service workers, and they do amazing things in their careers. We have many successful graduates over the years, and Kim can speak to that because she has taught so many of them. And so this is definitely a career path that provides many opportunities, and Kim can speak to that very proficiently because she is an example of a career path in a social service worker position. So this is a great career choice. It's something that we it's a very heartfelt program at Niagara College because helping others is very important to us, and setting people up for success in their lives is very important. And social service workers help to do that. So this, even though so much of our programming had to move online during COVID, the social service worker program has substantial placement opportunities for students because we know that applied learning, hands-on learning, and industry exposure and experience are critical to your success when you leave our program and go out to the job market. So Kim will be speaking to the placement opportunities that are ahead of you in the social service worker program. And I do hope that you take this opportunity to ask any questions you have. She has a wealth of knowledge. She's designed the program and she keeps it current and relevant so that we meet the industry needs. So thank you, and enjoy your session.
Thank you so much, Fiona. We really appreciate you being here, and thank you for your kind words.
Thanks, Kim.
So let's talk about the social service worker program at Niagara College. I have been told we have about an hour, so I get really enthusiastic. I am a big fan of the social service worker diploma for a lot of reasons. So I'm going to try and stay on task. And you'll hear as we go along why I'm so enthusiastic and why I think the social service worker program makes a ton of sense for not just a social service worker career, but a lot of other careers that you might be thinking about you're interested in. I'm going to tell you why this is a really great place to be. And I'm going to try and move the slide. Okay, so one of the things to know about social service workers and social service workers in Ontario, there was a time, 15 years ago and prior to that, when anybody could call themselves a social worker. Anyone could say they were a social service worker. That was just fine. If you were a nice person working in a helping capacity, you could use those words to describe your job. As of about 15 years ago, a little longer than that now, 18 years ago, we became a regulated profession. What that means is social workers and social service workers, in order to call themselves by that name and to work in that capacity, they must be registered with the Ontario College of Social Workers and Social Service Workers. There's no other option. And in order to do that, to be eligible to register, you have to have taken an education from an accredited institution like Niagara College. We are accredited to be able to deliver a social service worker program. And once you graduate from that program, that's like your stamp of approval that you have met the requirements to be able to become a regulated or registered social service worker. There are actually 3 levels in our profession of social work and social service work, and I'm going to talk to you about what those levels are. At Niagara College, we deliver the social service worker diploma. For some people, being a social service worker is a career all by itself. They don't go on and do other education. They love what they do as a social service worker graduate, and they just stick with that and have a really great career. There are other people who say, I'd like to go to university. I would like to get a Bachelor of Social Work. It changes a little bit the landscape of the job opportunities that are available. And they go from us to a Bachelor of Social Work. And we're going to talk a little later in this presentation about those pathways and how Niagara College can make that a really smooth transition for you. And some people do their BSW and they say, you know what, I want a little more. I know there's a little more. And they go on and they do a master's degree in social work. And I'll talk to you a little bit about how having a master's degree in social work also changes a little bit the career landscape. But often when you talk to MSWs in the Niagara region, you will find a lot of them started at Niagara College with that 2-year SSW as the first 2 years of their social work career. Oh, I'm just going to move your slide again. So let's just chat a little bit about the differences. The social service worker diploma, it's a 2-year diploma at Niagara College. You have a choice. You can join us in the fall, and some of you watching this might know you're joining us in fall 2021, and you'll spend 2 terms with us, take the summer off, come back and spend two terms again with us, and that will be your 2-year college diploma in social service work. In terms of what kinds of careers you can be involved in, this is a really broad profession. So this is one of the reasons I'm going to tell you I love the social service worker diploma or social work as a career. It is so broad. We have people working across so many sectors with so many age groups. Our graduates work in shelters and group homes for children and people with developmental disabilities. They work in schools. They work as educational assistants. They work in capacities as child and youth care workers in the school board. They work as support staff in child welfare. In some regions, social service worker graduates in Niagara region is one of them. They might be employed at Ontario Works or Ontario Disability Support Programs, brain injury. They just really work in so many places. And this is one of the things I love about having my social work degrees, because it's the same as social workers as well. That I always say my social work degrees were the things that made me able to take care of myself through my adult life. I've always had that career to be able to move. If I moved regions, if you're an SSW in Niagara and you meet someone and you decide to relocate to Thunder Bay, you are equally qualified to take that SSW and take it up there. And everybody understands what an SSW means and what you can do and what you've been trained to do. And you can still be registered. If you work with kids for a while and then you say, I have had enough of kids for a while, I really want to work with seniors, then you are equally qualified to work with children as you are to work with seniors in a long-term care facility. If you decide you'd like to work in addictions or in mental health, the SSW makes you qualified to do all of those things. Because what the ministry's expectation of us is that we train you for a generalist practice. The expectation of myself and all the other faculty in SSW programs across the province, and particularly, at Niagara College, we're very focused on that, and you'll see how we do that in a few slides. We're supposed to make sure that you are ready to work with a variety of people across a variety of sectors with a variety of challenges. And so we work very hard to make sure that we prepare you for that. So that's the SSW diploma. When we move on and we look at the BSW, the BSW and the MSW are the university degrees that can either come by themselves. Some people never come do an SSW. They just go straight to university and do degrees in social work. A lot of people do what you might be thinking about doing, coming to Niagara College and doing a 2-year SSW before you move on to do a Bachelor of Social Work. That's a very normal pathway. And we have some very well-established pathways with the universities where you get credit for the time that you spend at Niagara College. So for a Bachelor of Social Work, it's a 4-year university degree. Although if you come to Niagara College, you'll see in a couple of slides, we're going to talk about the fact that you can shorten that 4 years down to as little as 2 years. 4 years to do a BSW, and then 1 additional year to do a master's degree in social work. Some schools have a 2-year MSW for students who have another university degree, like someone who's maybe done a sociology degree a long time ago, and they've been working in the field, not able to call themselves a social worker, but working in a helping capacity. They have some really good experience. There are some child protection workers, quite frankly, in that situation. They got a BA a long time ago. They got hired a long time ago. They've been working as a child protection worker, but don't actually have a social work degree. There's someone who might apply to that 2-year MSW in order to get a master's degree, but they don't have the BSW before it. So the university degreed social workers can work everywhere an SSW can work, although often they're in the management roles. What's different for them is they often are in roles in the government, in hospitals, in schools, correctional centers, in places like probation. They also, of course, work in child welfare and mental health. And again, some people do that just straight away. I'm going to tell you that by coming to Niagara College, you have 2 years of an SSW education that prepares you so beautifully for 2 or 3 more years to get your degree. So as I was saying, we have pathway agreements with a number of universities. And what those pathways allow is for you to get credit for the time you spend at Niagara College at the university. And you'll see the one where it gets shortened down the shortest is that first pathway. We were talking about going from Niagara College to Niagara University, which is just across the border in the US. There are a ton of social workers in the Niagara region who came to us for 2 years and did an SSW and got their SSW diploma. And then because we have a pathway, we work very closely with Niagara University. The students then just went right over to Niagara University. They did 2 years of university in the US, and they ended up with their Bachelor of Science in Social Work, which is the equivalent of the BSW here in Canada. You can also go from Niagara College to Laurier University. I have taught in that program previously. It's an excellent program. It's located at their Brantford campus, and you can shorten your 4-year degree down to approximately 3, maybe 2.5, by doing your SSW diploma, completing it, and then going there for the Bachelor of Social Work. We also have a lot of students who go to Waterloo University to do their Bachelor of Social Work. The first year of their program is actually an online program. So people are able to stay at home and do their work online and then go on to do their 2 years of Bachelor of Social Work. So again, you're getting credit for the time that you spent here with us at Niagara College and shortening down your pathway to a degree. So let's talk about Niagara College specifically and what's really great about Niagara College. All of the faculty that you have in the SSW program will have master's degrees in social work. They are all working clinicians, means that they have worked in the field and they continue to be engaged in the field. So we have diverse backgrounds. We've worked in a lot of different areas, and we bring all of that into the classroom for you to help your learning experience. We also know, though, that all of your learning doesn't take place in the classroom. Some of your very most important learning is going to take place out in the field. So we have over 650 hours of practical field place experience. So we support you at the college in that. We support getting you out into field placement, and we have students placed in every sector that social service workers work. So some of those sectors that I mentioned earlier in schools and long-term care facilities, mental health and addiction, working with children in group homes and in foster care. Anywhere you can imagine, we have in food banks, in homeless shelters, we have people working there, completing their placements there. One of the other things that we have happening at Niagara College that is quite unique to us is that we have a ton of online or in-house experiential learning through video simulation. So we have a dedicated video lab in the college where students videotape a lot. Individual counseling sessions that they're doing with other students, group counseling sessions they're doing with other students, they're video recording those, bringing them back to the classroom. And then the professor is watching those videos with them and talking about, okay, what's happening? We're talking about techniques that the student facilitator used. We're talking about clinical issues that came up in that video simulation. We're talking about referrals to community resources. There's a lot of engagement around talking about these video simulations. We take an anti-oppressive approach to practice at Niagara College, which means that we're really looking at ourselves in a position not of power over our clients, but in working collaboratively with our clients, that we really respect our clients, that we want to work with them. We understand that they have strengths and that we see them during a window of time when they're most challenged. And so when they're in that window of time, we want to partner with them to help them get on the other side of that window. That's the idea of the anti-oppressive approach to social work. I've talked already about the unique bridge opportunities we have to the bachelor's degrees program. One of the other things we do, and it's something that is on hold right now, we weren't able to do it this year, we're hoping to bring it back next year, is our students have an opportunity to get certified in nonviolent crisis intervention. So when you're working with people in communal settings, there's training that is available. It's a particular certificate people have to be certified in order to work in a way with people that is nonviolent. It's about understanding about the escalation of violence, about how to de-escalate things verbally, and then how to safely physically restrain people if that becomes necessary as a last resort option for behavior management and to keep people safe. And so you have to be certified by a particular organization that does that type of training. And at Niagara College, we just make that available to you. So we organize it, you do the training on site, and you have that certificate in addition to your diploma when you leave us. And agencies are very pleased for you to have that, because then they don't have to worry about giving you that training yourself. And it's a really great thing to add to your resume. Oops, I'm skipping too many things now. So I told you before that we needed to prepare you for a generalist practice, meaning we need to help you learn about all different types of people across all kinds of different settings. Every single term of your program with us, you are going to have a course about working with individuals. So individual counseling skills, the one-on-one, talk therapy, in an office, counselor and client. You're gonna have a course based on that in every single term. We call them SOWK 1100, 1200, 1300, and 1400. Every single term of your program, you are also going to have a class that is dedicated to how to facilitate groups, both psychoeducational workshops and therapeutic groups. And you're gonna have one every single term. Also, every single term, you're going to have a course dedicated to learning about this system. Because one of the things that makes social workers or social service workers different than psychologists is that we are expected to know a lot about this system, how it's integrated together. When we have people who have challenges, not only do we know how to support them with those challenges, we also know how to refer them to the support services in the community that are going to be able to help them. Well, if we're going to be able to do that, we need to know what the support services are that are out there. And so I might have a client that I'm working with in a child welfare setting. And so I know child welfare really well, but I also might need to know about where can I refer this person for support with an addiction? Where can I support this person to be able to help them get some food because they're struggling with food security? Where are mental health services? I need to know about a lot of different things. And so every single term of your program, you are going to have a course that's going to help you learn about all those different areas. Finally, every single term, you are going to have a course on campus that is geared towards field placement. So in your very first term, it's about getting you ready for field placement, talking to you about what field placement would look like, what you can expect and what will be expected of you. And then in terms 2, 3, and 4, your class is going to be based on, so what's happening in field placement, and taking the learning that you're having out there in the field and bringing it into the classroom to share with the class. And we do a lot of case studies, we do a lot of discussion, we really focus on values and ethics and different approaches to working with people. And so at Niagara College, that's how we get at that generalist, get you ready to work in a lot of different places by the time you're ready to graduate. So there's some things to know about field placement. Field placement is really, to be honest, I mean, I hope I do a good job in the classroom, but I think field placement is the highlight of what you're going to do while you're with us. Some important things to know about field placement, and now is not too early to be thinking about them. Our field placements are in the entire Niagara region. We have field placement opportunities in Beamsville and Grimsby. We have field placements in Port Colborne and Fort Erie, St. Catharines and Welland. And so in order for you to be able to maximize your opportunities, to be able to go to a really great field placement that you feel really good about, that really you're super interested in and you want to learn more, having transportation is really important, because sometimes a group home is in Welland, but it is on a side road somewhere where no public transit is going to get you. Or if you live in Welland and there's some amazing opportunity in Fort Erie, you're really going to need the ability to be able to get out there. So I want you to think about, if it's possible for you, having transportation to really maximize your options. Now, if you don't have transportation, we try to work with students around, okay, I live in St. Catharines. Can I get a placement in St. Catharines so I could take public transit there, or something, you know, a parent or a partner could drop me off on their way to work. It's a bit more challenging and it limits your options a bit, but we'll definitely work with you because we understand not everyone will be driving. I've talked about, you know, that they can be based all over the Niagara region, that we have classes back at class to support you. If you're someone who's been working in the field quite a while and you're coming back to school because you say, I really need that SSW diploma in order to be able to register with the college and increase my employment opportunities, you can have a prior learning assessment. We call it, for short form, we call it PLAR. And you can apply to be exempted from one or more of your placements if you've been working in the field for a very long time. And there's a bit of a process, but I do want you to know that there is a PLAR process to look at what have you done and can we give you credit for that so you don't have to redo it. One of the other things that's really important to think about is when you work in the social service work area, you are, as an employee, absolutely going to need a vulnerable sector search. And as students, you are going to need to do a vulnerable sector search. So police clearance. It has to be done before you start your first placement, and it will likely have to be completed again before your second placement. They usually want, the placement areas typically want them no older than 6 months old. If you do not have a clear police clearance, you really need to think very practically about whether or not this is going to be the best pathway for you. Our goal, we want you all to become employed. We want you to be able to work in this field. And we know that police clearances are really, really important. Now, that being said, sometimes people come to us with a police clearance that is not what I would call clean, meaning it's got something on it. Maybe someone had an addiction 10 years ago and ended up with a DUI, and then there's nothing on the police record after that. There are some placement agencies who would be able to look at that and say, that's okay, we can accept that. There will be others that say, we cannot accept that. What you're going to really, probably a hurdle you are going to have great difficulty overcoming is a police clearance that has any type of violence on it at all. If there are assault charges on there, if there are any sort of robbery charges, things like that, the more serious things that are person-to-person crimes, that's going to be a hurdle that I am going to caution you may be impossible to overcome in the placement setting and as someone working in this field. So I just want to be very clear about that up front. Finally, one of the other things about placement is early on in your first term with us, we're going to encourage you, we're going to prompt you to apply for your communicable disease clearance through the college. So there are a number of health forms that you will get from Niagara College Health Unit. They will, you will take those to your family doctor. There are TB tests that are saying you have your immunizations, and those absolutely must be completed, and you must be cleared in term 1 in order to go into your placement in term 2. So what kind of people make really great social workers? You know, you might be thinking, is being a social service worker the right thing for me? Social service workers who some people just know they are made for this field. They are the person that friends come to for support. They're the person that they know they always want to help others. It's really important that you really have to have a genuine compassion for people. Being able to have excellent interpersonal skills and communication with people, all people, is really, really important. You know, not all of our clients want to work with us. They're not all thrilled to sit down. This isn't Dr. Phil. They all don't want to sit down in a chair across from us and have a candid conversation about how life is challenging them. We have people who sometimes aren't very nice to us, who are difficult to work with sometimes for a variety of reasons. When people have experienced trauma in their life and experienced extraordinary struggle, that comes out in ways that can be hard for other people to deal with. And we need to be, that's what makes us different from the nice next door neighbor, is that we have an understanding of that we're prepared not just to work with people who want to be helped, but we're prepared to be present with people who struggle to have us be present and help them. It's also really important that you're able to work with culturally diverse people, that you understand this is about working with people who don't necessarily speak English as their first language, or don't necessarily have grown up in a place where their value system or their ways of doing things are exactly the same way that we're familiar with. And we need to be open to the ways in which they maybe do things differently, and about learning about those differences and respecting and working within those differences. It's really important in social work, and we're going to start talking about it literally from the first day you come into class, about the values and ethics of the social service worker profession. It's really important that you come in believing and committing to adapting your personal values to social work values and ethics. Because as I said before, we work from this place of anti-oppressive practice, where we say, I'm going to partner with my client in order to help them get through this window of time or this challenge or crisis in their lives. And part of anti-oppressive practice work is self-determination. It's the idea that my client gets to decide what they want in their life, and what clients want and what you may want based on some personal values may not be the same. And in social work, you know whose value wins? The client. And it's really important that you say, I get that. That's not a choice that I could make for my life. That doesn't fit for me, but I respect that it fits for my client, and I will support my client in the decisions that they make. It's another piece that's really important that I can't overstate enough is the ability to be able to deal with stress. I'm going to tell you that we laugh, the professors and I, in my hallway where I work with other disciplines, and someone in the hallway will say, oh gosh, I have to go do my mental health lecture today. And that feels very heavy for them. That's a big topic that they need to talk about. Do you know, I have classes where my teaching and learning plan looks like 1 week I'm talking about mental health, and the next week I'm talking about sexual abuse. And the next week I'm talking about suicide. And the next week I'm talking about domestic violence. That's the way class looks sometimes for us, is that every class is heavy. Every class can be very difficult for the average person to hear about. Not all the time. Clearly my policy classes might be less heavy. But we are talking about very real, very raw, very difficult issues. And that can be stressful. We have amazing supports at Niagara College. And when we have these types of lectures, I really remind students of the wonderful counseling department we have and all the supports we have in place. I remind students to be good to themselves, to take care of themselves. But it's important to know, particularly for people who are often drawn to this field because they have a history of having been helped. And so they want to be helpers themselves, which is a beautiful thing. It's really important that people feel like they say to themselves, can I sit through multiple classes on domestic violence? Can I sit through multiple classes about child abuse? Can I sit through classes about suicide? And if that feels that's going to be a challenge for you, that's not to say, don't come to social service work. That's to say, that's your signal to say, I need to get ready. That's your signal to say, I'm going to take a bit of time to do some personal work. You've got till at least September at this point. I'm going to do some personal work to try and help manage those things so I can be ready to sit through those classes. And if I get to those classes and I find that they're really hitting me in a way that's not good for me, or in a way where I can't be in a professional capacity, then I'm going to seek out help in that moment through Niagara College, where we have these free, really fantastic counseling services. Working with people who are in very difficult circumstances is hard on us. It's hard on all of us. I've been a social working in this field for over 25 years, and it doesn't get easier just because you've been doing it longer. It can be really hard sometimes. We all need to talk. We all need to be good to ourselves, and we're going to be encouraging you to do that right from the beginning. It's important that that you're able to be assertive and comfortable in the field as an advocate. If you say, I can't talk in front of people, I could never do a presentation in front of the class, that's going to be okay term one. We're going to work with you around that. But we're going to help you take some baby steps to encourage you to be more comfortable in front of people, talking with people, because sometimes you're a client's only voice. And if you can't use your voice, they have no voice. And so we're going to help you become, again, baby steps. But if you're a person who's really shy, who has difficulty speaking up, we're going to be encouraging you to grow in that area, because it's important for you as a professional. It's really important for your clients. It's really important to have a strong belief in social justice, in understanding the world is not a level playing field for all, and believe in the idea not of equality, but equity, not everybody having the same, but everybody having what they need. And finally, in that same vein, where I was talking about a lot of people who come from a place of helping, having been helped, want to go on to be helpers, we all need a really strong sense of personal boundaries. That idea of, I don't need to tell everybody my story. I understand that my story is my story, and my clients are separate and apart from that. And so I'm going to think about my client's story as it's unique to them, not in the ways that it applies to me. We're going to talk a lot about boundaries in the program. That's just a quick overview. So that's sort of everything I have to say about my particular spiel about social service work. I hope that my talking about social service work has made you enthusiastic about your choices and thinking about where you want to go. I, I promise you that if you come to Niagara College, I genuinely believe you will have made a really good decision. One of the things I said I would say, and just before we move on to the thank you, is that I said social service work is a fantastic diploma to have, not just to be a social service worker, but for people who want to be a lawyer, for people who want to be a corrections officer or a probation officer, or they want to be a police officer. For a lot of different types of jobs, social service work is a fantastic place to start because it is going to teach you a lot about people and about communication, about the challenges that our communities are facing. And it is a really, really fantastic foundation for a lot of different careers. And I would love to be a part of that with you. So thank you for your time. I appreciate you coming and listening in.
That was super, super, Kim. And, while you were talking, we had an awful lot of questions start to come in.
Okay.
So, yeah, so you're going to be pretty busy here.
Okay.
I'm just going to start to kind of get things rolling so you can kind of talk to these.
Sure.
So the first one is, what happens if you want to wait until college determines fall delivery to make your May deadline?
Right. I know this is such a tricky time. And I'll tell you on a personal level, I'm a mom of a grade 12 student right now. So I feel your pain. I know the uncertainty of not being sure what it's going to look like in the fall. And even if someone tells us, oh, we're going to do this, it's like, really? Are you going to do that? Like, do any of us really know? My office, I'm sitting right now in a place where right now we can have a bunch of people doing training. And if it was Monday, we couldn't because I'm in Hamilton and we'd be in a red zone. Like, day to day. Here's what I'll tell you. Social service worker has been designated in the provincial guidelines as an essential service, which meant back in January, when lots of programs couldn't bring their students back on campus, social service work did, and we didn't have limits on our classroom size. That's just the current state of affairs. So we have students from every single level of our program on campus right now. And we're a bit unique in that we're on site with some of the other programs, but even when only a bare minimum of programs could be on campus, we were one of them. So the intent is we'd love to think that we're going to see some on-campus activity in the fall. What that looks like exactly, I wish, even as a mom, I wish I could tell you. I can't. But what I can tell you is, to the extent that we can have really critical courses where face-to-face interaction is really meaningful in our small base lab programs, we're going to try for that. Cross our fingers.
Okay, next question is about the bridge programs.
Yeah.
Is there any in counseling?
So when you're asking about any in counseling, so social work is the most common type of individual counselor there is a master's degree in social work to do counseling. And so when the bridges go over to the BSW program, which then leads to the MS program, that is the bridge to counseling. You may have seen perhaps a master's degree in counseling out of like Yorkville. It's an online university. We wouldn't bridge to that program for a variety of reasons, but one of them is because they're not able to become social service or social workers. They're not able to register with the college. They register with a completely different college called the College of Psychotherapists. So when you want to do individual one-to-one counseling, if that's your career goal, then the MSW, the MSW is where you want to end up.
Super. And I just want to remind everybody, all of our attendees for the day today, if you do have questions, please post them in the Q&A. So, because that's where I'm looking, so I can pull them up and give them to Kim. So next question, Kim, is when do we have to decide and commit to the program?
My understanding, just from the slide, to be honest, this is one of those questions that's really out of my faculty role, but my understanding is the date is May 1st.
Right. And we did mention that in that slide. So I think you're correct on that. So obviously this person's been accepted and now it has to accept.
Yes.
Okay. Already, good stuff.
Pick us too. We picked you. Pick us too.
The next one is May 1st. Is that the deadline for the fall term?
Yes.
And that's what we just discussed too. Is this a competitive program, Kim?
I've been told we are the hardest program in Niagara College to get into. So I looked at some numbers the other day. I can see that our wait list is quite long because it is hard to get into. Now, that being said, if you have been waitlisted, do not panic. It's interesting to me how much things sort of ebb and change in the first couple of weeks. And we actually, as a faculty, don't teach like major material in the first week of classes, because we know there are going to be people that sit in chairs and say, "Ooh, this isn't quite what I thought I wanted," and they withdraw, and someone gets picked up off that wait list and dropped into our classroom, and then they're there, and we don't want them to have missed a really big chunk. So we very intentionally sort of wait a week to let that settle out a little bit. We also have a January intake. So sometimes when people aren't admitted into our fall intake, they get bumped over into our January intake, which is a really great way to do the program. I didn't even talk about it, but you start in January, you go right through the spring and summer. And when you come back in the fall, you join all the people that started the fall before, and you become one big cohort of students. So if you start in the fall, you start with 60 students. If you start in January, you start with 35. And then in your second year, you all become a cohort of around 90, 95 students.
Very interesting. We have a question about that actually. When does the college send acceptance for January?
Oh goodness, I'm sorry that I don't know the answer to that. But to get the answer for that, the place you're going to find it is the registrar's office at Niagara College. They're the ones who manage all of those things.
Okay, good stuff, good stuff. Next one is, do you offer advanced placements for students with a diploma in the human service field?
So people do come to us with diplomas in sort of other types of areas. What we can do is we can do what I was talking about before, which is the PLAR, the previous learning assessment, and potentially the college will grant you credit for what you've already done. And then you just only be doing maybe a second year placement instead of the first year placement as well. The first year placement is a 4-month placement that happens in your second term. The second year placement is an 8-month placement that happens for all of your second year of SSW. So our placements are sort of a level playing field in that any student in the program can apply to any placement. There's not some that are reserved for people that already have experience, although a placement may select you when they interview you, particularly because of the experience that they have, and they really would like to have that on board with them. So there are some benefits there.
Yeah, and there's a part B to this question too, is this person just saying, I was referring to academic courses like psychology.
Oh, and again, it's through that PLAR process where they would look at what you've done and then they would give you credit. So if you already have a psychology course from somewhere, they may very well be able to say, you know, we're going to give you credit for an elective and you don't have to do that one.
Okay, good stuff. Is this a domestic program only, or is this program available to international students?
Fully domestic. So some of the guidelines around programs is sort of the level of domestic interest in the program, because we are so heavily oversubscribed, because there's barely room to get in everybody domestically that wants to take it. We're 100% domestic program. It doesn't mean we have no diversity. We have a diversity of student body and lots of students who have, you know, been born in other places and come to Canada and made Canada their home, but they are now Canadians or have permanent residency status here in Canada. And so that makes it an entirely domestic program.
Okay, yeah, that's good to know too. So, because we do have an international student that's on with us right now, and just wanted to know if there was a wait list for international students, but I understand this is a domestic program.
Yes.
Okay, good stuff. And again, if you have any questions for Kim, we've got about 15 minutes left to go with this seminar today before we close things off. Kim, can you speak a little bit to the method of delivery now because of COVID, just the way things have been going now? I know a lot of students have been asking questions about how we're delivering the programs. And even though we hope to have more people back in the fall, it is nice to know how things are being handled now.
Oh, sure. And we've had a couple of iterations of it. So I'm going to tell you that pre-COVID, we had 95% of what we did face-to-face at the college. So big lectures at the college, small lab groups where we're interacting and counseling each other and videotaping at the college face to face. And then just a little bit of what we did, we'd have courses called hybrid. And hybrid meant we'd spend maybe 2 hours in the classroom together. And then I'm the one that typically taught the hybrid courses. I'd have an hour of things that would happen online. They might be websites I want you to do or trainings that I know are really great. And so that would be called a hybrid class. And we'd have just maybe 1 or so of those per term. That was pre-COVID. So there was always a little bit of online, but not much of it. Once COVID hit, we went fully online. So spring, summer 2020, we didn't set foot on campus. And so everything went online. What's happening now is those lectures that I would have given in the classroom. So if I also tend to teach big lecture classes myself, so we'll start with those. I have a PowerPoint and I record every single week. I record me talking to my PowerPoint and lecturing like I would have done in the classroom. And so you can see a little picture of me and my PowerPoint, and I walk through the lecture material, and it's there for you every week. And then I often have an assignment tied to it, and I will do a little video recording introducing your assignment for the week as well. And then the assignment gets dropped into a Dropbox online, and I can go find it there and grade it. In the classes that have been smaller little lab classes, for spring, summer, and fall, we weren't able to come on campus at all. And so we sort of changed what we were doing. We were trying to recreate the type of learning you would have gotten in an individual counseling class or group therapy class. So what I would do is I would give you like a case study for group therapy. I'd give you a case study of a group and like something that, and it would describe what went well and what went wrong. And then I'd have you do an assignment based on that. Not the same as facilitating a group. And which is why when we hit January and they said, Kim, you can have some classes back on campus. What do you want? I said, yay, we're going to put individual counseling on campus and we're going to put group counseling on campus so that people can actually do the things we're trying to teach them. I don't know for sure what the summer is going to look like. I'm hoping we're going to get those little labs, counseling classes on campus as well. And then in the fall, if we were to look at, if they let us have everything back, that's going to be my priority. If they say, Kim, you can only have a little bit back, that's the kind of stuff I'm going to be looking to have on campus, is those little small group actually doing the skills labs. And then if big lectures stay online or if they come back to the classroom, I think those things feel a bit more manageable for students and for faculty. Does that make sense?
Yes, totally. And also in the chat, for those of you who are attendees here in the chat, I've just put Kim's email in there as well. So just in case maybe tomorrow or later today or next week, you think of something and you say, oh, I wish I would have asked that. I've put Kim's email address in there.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. No problem. Okay, so we've got another one here. Do we have a say in where we are placed?
Okay, I can tell you about the placement process. So here's what I'm going to tell you. Anything can change. And we've had a big change. If there are people watching this, you're maybe watching with your mom or your dad and they're a graduate of Niagara College and they're going to be like, where's Phil? Where's Rick? You're right. I am the only long-term faculty that is left. The other faculty we have been part-time faculty with us for a while, but people who graduated from the program over the last number of years may not know them. They might even not even know me, although I've been at the college for 13 years. So things change, right? But this is how we do it now. And this has been sort of our long process, is that students do get a choice in where they get placed. Agencies also get a choice in who they have placed with them. This is how we do it right now. So I'm giving you all of those, like things change, our program's changing a little bit, but you'll always have choice. Here's how we do the choice now. When it's time to go interview for a placement, we let students sign up for about 5 choices. So they look at all the agencies that are available who said they can host students, and students sign up for 5 different agencies they're interested in. And then they go out and they interview with that agency. And after they finish all of their interviews, and typically we tell students about, they interview with maybe about 4 agencies actually. They go do all their interviews and then they fill out a form that says, these are the agencies I liked in this order. So number 1, this is absolutely where I want to go. Number 2, number 3, number 4. And they'll say, this agency absolutely cannot go there. We ask you what the reasons are, but maybe it's like, I kind of thought I dealt with my history of domestic violence, but when I went there, I realized I'm not ready, Okay, that's a really good reason to not go to placement there, and we would respect that absolutely. The agency is going to do the same thing. They're going to take the list of students that they interviewed and they're going to say, this is our number one choice, 2, 3, 4. And they'll give us a little reason, a little feedback about how it went sometimes, which we really appreciate. And they will also say, and below the, we call it below the line, these students we absolutely don't think are a good fit for one reason or the other, issues with boundaries or knows too many of our clients on a personal level, whatever it is. We take those 2 sheets of paper and I look at an agency. I'll look at, for instance, brain injury, community reentry, and I'll see, okay, their first choice is Mary Smith. Okay, let me look at Mary's sheet. What did Mary choose first? Oh, Mary liked them best too. Okay, I'm going to put those together. I might look at Mary's list and say, oh, Mary liked them, but second, she really, really liked Youth Connections. Let me go look at Youth Connections list. Youth Connections picked Mary first. Okay, let's put those 2 together. Let me go to BICR's second choice. Who did they like? That's how the matching process goes. So you do have some choice. Do you always end up at the one you absolutely want the most? Not always. Often. I'm shocked how often agencies and students are all feeling each other at the same time. Like it's interesting how much that lines up. Doesn't always line up. But what I can tell you is that even though you may end up somewhere, I'm just going to tell you a quick story about a student who I put in a placement that when I told her where she was going, it was like, she put them below the line, to be honest. And we had a conversation about that. She genuinely cried when I told her where she was going. And I said, can you please try? Just try. That person is a long-term employee of that organization now. She came to me 2 weeks later and said, oh my God, Kim, thank you for placing me there. I love it. She was just scared. She didn't know it's in the area of developmental services. She'd never worked in that area. She didn't know anything about it. She was very nervous. She didn't think that was a place she wanted to be, which was why she was so upset. She was so nervous about it. 2 weeks in, and she was coming to me saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. So, placement is such a wonderful place to grow. And even when you end up somewhere that you weren't entirely sure you want to be there, it's amazing how often that happens where it's this fantastic experience.
And Kim, also, what do you feel at least is the success rate of a lot of these students that go out for placement? Do many of them actually stay at their placement, get offered jobs there?
A ton. So a lot of our students are getting hired by the agencies. If anything, we often are having to like slow people down. Like they're done first year and their first placement agency wants to hire them. And we're like, okay, that's awesome, but you still got another year of school to do. Agencies are anxious to grab students often early in their career, even out of those first placements. And we find so many students trying to juggle that work with the schooling. And we have a unique feature in the social service worker program where if you do get employed sort of 24 hours a week or more in your final term of school, we will release you from placement and replace it with your work hours. Because what we know is jobs don't wait around for us at our convenience, and we want our students to be employed. And we think that working in the field is really incredibly valuable and should be recognized as such. You're still responsible for all your academic work, which can be a whole lot. Get ready for your GPA to drop, but you have got a job in the field and you're working at the career you're aiming for, and we're happy to help support that. And it happens often.
Right, right. Another question about careers and placements. Do you help with the interview techniques? Do you, you understand basically how to help our students create their resumes, help them out with the application process and, the interview questions that may be asked?
We do it in actually a lot of different ways. So in my SOWK 1102 lecture last week, that's what my lecture was on with the students, was on exactly that. It was that idea of how do you prepare for these interviews. And then in second term, you're going to do a mock interview with one of our staff at Niagara College, where you're going to know you're either walking into an interview for one agency or another agency. It's on Zoom right now. And she's going to ask you a bunch of questions and then give you a bunch of feedback about how you did. And so there are a number of ways in which we try and support you in the process of getting ready to do that.
That's great. Now we're into our last 5 minutes
Okay.
of this session with Kim. So for any of you attendees who have some burning questions still, you've got 5 minutes to put them into the Q&A for Kim to answer. And while we're doing that too, Kim, I just wanted to ask too, because this came up in another session about alumni. Once you've graduated from the program, if you know you're struggling, or if you'd like a change in maybe not necessarily career, but the placement or the job that you have, how long can alumni come to you for help for?
You know, it's interesting how often I hear from people who have graduated quite some time ago. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of alumni are my colleagues because we're all working in the field. We are often seeing alumni out in the field as our colleagues and no longer as our students. And so we're quite happy to chat with people if they need some support. I had someone literally email me yesterday that I don't even remember when he graduated, but he was looking for Phil. And Phil retired in December. And so I need to sort of see if I can't find a way for Phil to reach out to that person. So, and I think Phil would probably be happy to do that. So we would like to be supportive to you if we can be, as we would be to any of our colleagues. But you know, of course, we have special affection for our grads.
Yeah, absolutely. And then can you just go over one more time how many students you have in, or how many students are accepted for each term?
Sure.
So each year?
Yeah, so in September, we call them our September starts. We take in 60 students. And then they're with us. Those September starts are with us for first year from September all the way through to the end of April. We take another cohort in the middle of that in January. We call them our January starts, and there are 30 of them. And there's 35 of them, sorry. And those 35 students go from January to the end of April as their first term. Then they do second term while those September starts go home for the summer. The January starts stay with us all summer, and we stay together May, June, July, August, and then they go home for a couple of weeks. And then in September, the September starts and the January starts come together, and they make one big cohort of 95, and they do the second term together as one big cohort.
Very good. Yeah, that's a great program, the way that you're doing that. Kim, listen, we've had a lot of great questions today, and we're down to our last 3 minutes. So I'll let you wrap it up, Kim, with any final thoughts or final advice for some of our attendees.
Sure. Yeah. As I said to you before, and I told you, I am incredibly enthusiastic about what this program can do for you. I'm also super enthusiastic about the faculty that we have at Niagara College. Phil and Rick were with us as faculty for a very long time for a reason, because it's a great place to be and they love students. And the people who are with us now are phenomenal clinicians. They are people who haven't just gone to school. They all have master's degree and they all work in the field. They are clinicians who can teach you so much, but I don't know how to teach a class without saying, and there was this time I was working with this client, or there was this circumstance where this happened that I'm teaching about. I don't know how to teach without talking about what I do. And that's one of the really great things is this is not a program led by a bunch of academics who have been researching for the last 20 years. You're going to be taught by people who have worked in the field a super long time. Like I said, I got my degrees. I showed the students in that class where I was teaching them about resumes and stuff. I showed them my CV the other day and realized they now know how old I am. I have been in the field a really long time, and so have all the people I've been working with. And we all continue to have our hand out there in the world. And so everything is very current and very fresh and very real, and not just about having done a bunch of research. It's about having done the work. And that's the way we teach you.
Oh, great. And we have one final question that's come in. So, and you got a minute to answer it before we go offline. If you want to take a reduced course load and are in the September intake, can you make up missed courses over the summer?
You can. You want to be super strategic about it. Our academic advisor for social service work is Barbara Heeg, H-E-E-G. Barbara will be super helpful in helping you determine what classes should you be putting off if you want to take a reduced course load, because not everything is offered at all the same time. And so she can just help you plan it out properly, because if you do the wrong one, it kind of messes you up, but there are lots that you could do it with.
Super. Oh, that's great. And that's how we're going to wrap it up
Terrific.
for the day today. Thanks, Kim. It's been really great. Lots of great questions from
Thank
the
you, everyone.
attendees. Yeah, really great questions. And of course, a great presentation from you as well, Kim. So thank you everybody for attending. We hope to see you at Niagara College soon. And again, if you need Kim for anything additional, her email is in the chat.
I'm here.
All righty. Thanks, Kim. Everybody
Thanks,
have a
Elisa.
great day.
Thank
Alrighty.
you. Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.